Join us for an engaging and transformative workshop designed to empower your child to explore their potential and set meaningful goals for the future. Visit our website or use the provided link to purchase your ticket. For further inquiries, please don't hesitate to call or send a WhatsApp message to 063 2099 379. We look forward to seeing you there. Join us for an engaging and transformative workshop designed to empower your child to explore their potential and set meaningful goals for the future. Visit our website or use the provided link to purchase your ticket. For further inquiries, please don't hesitate to call or send a WhatsApp message to 063 2099 379. We look forward to seeing you there. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Tinashe Mujera. I'm an author, I'm a marketplace professional, and I'm a woman of God. I am a representation of tested faith. I represent my healed wounds that left ugly scars. This is the Faith in Action podcast that has been created to help you find the journey to your true self through conversations and lessons shared. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of the Faith in Action podcast. With me, your host, Tinashe Mujera. I am excited tonight because we are going to be unpacking a beautiful and I think a profound and in-season topic tonight. We are going to be unpacking balance and talking through what balance is, what it means. Does it exist? Is there a template that balance should look like? I'm super excited tonight because I will be joined by a guest expert, someone who is an expert in the field of holistic well-being. She is a dynamic professional, highly accomplished. She owns an agency. She's a strategist. She's into business development and coaching, and she loves entrepreneurship. Her name is Raksha Mahabeer. I had to practice that before this episode. Please, guys, help me welcome Raksha as she joins me for this episode.
Hi, Tinashe. It is so lovely to be sharing space with you. Thank you for the invitation to chat.
Amazing. Welcome, Raksha. I love your energy. Welcome, my dear. It's an honor to us, actually, to have you, really want to be on the Faith in Action podcast and share all the wisdom that you carry and all the expertise that you've really been able to amass over the years, through what you've gone through, the seasons you've passed through, but also the work you do and the people you've helped over the years. So we are more grateful to have you here and for you to share with us some of those key principles, especially relating to balance, that we know are going to help us. So welcome once again, Raksha.
Thank you. Delighted to be here.
Awesome. 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 So, I mean, I'm just gonna throw this in. I'm like this. We wanna. This is a faith in action podcast, Raksha. So we go in hard. Um, I wanted to just ask because I'm itching to hear from you, and I feel like a lot of people are itching to hear this from you. Just that word balance is quite scary, especially looking at the times that we are living in and all that's going on around us and what people are going through. So much cases on anxiety, on depression, and I'm sure you get this when you coach a lot of people as well, that you almost have to deal with other things that are besides what the intention of the coaching session is. So balance, Raksha. What is balance? Does it even exist? What does that template look like? And who
Yeah.
invented it? Please tell us.
A great start, and I love it. Let's jump straight in. If we're going to do something, let's do it well, and let's do it deep, and let's do it meaningful. So I'm with
That's
you.
right.
In preparing for this, I went and looked up this word balance because even when you just say the word balance, I get the heebie jeebies. I start
Yeah,
to feel my
yeah,
shoulders tense
yeah, yeah.
because I think in modern society, there's such a lot of pressure put on
Mm,
us around this concept of balance. And I've searched and I found this definition that says balance is a harmonious integration of different elements to achieve stability, well being, and fulfillment. So, this
mm,
harmonious integration of different elements. Fine, that sounds wonderful. It sounds symbiotic. It sounds almost organic. But we haven't gone into the depth of what these different elements could be. I'll share a
mm,
personal story, Tinashe. I'm very
mm,
self aware, very intentional with how I live my life. So when the clock turns on midnight or New Year's Eve and going into the new year each year, I used to be
mm.
very intentional about how I want my new year to unfold. And I had this little
Wow.
template. I had this little picture that I found on the internet years and years and years ago. And it had on this wheel, it had
Mm,
plotted out all these like functional areas of your life. It talks about things like your business or career, your finances, your physical
mm,
environment, your fun and
mm.
recreation, your personal growth, your romance, your family and friends, and your health. All these different areas in your life that we need to be on top of all the
Yeah,
time to achieve a sense of balance.
yeah.
So at the turn of the new year, I would always want to sit with my wheel and
Mm,
assess how did I
mm,
do in my area of health or
mm,
personal growth or
mm,
finances or
mm.
career or spirituality. Like I would assess myself. What's working?
Yeah.
What's not working? What do I need to do better? What can And
Mm,
I thought that was the right way of doing it. So I approached life
mm,
for many years this way. And I would go into, okay, that's not working. I need to try harder here. I need to do this better. Am I not saving enough? Is my physical health not where it needs to be? Am I not putting enough energy into my relationships? And then I would come out almost like to go into this year like a warrior, with your
yeah,
suit of armor on, ready to go to war with the year.
yeah, yeah.
And as I've gotten older, that's absolutely not the energy with which I want to live life. I don't want to be going to
Wow.
war every day. That sounds
Wow.
painful. I want to be
Wow.
harmoniously integrating, organically flowing with where my energy is needed. So I feel
Wow.
like this concept of balance in society has put this pressure on us. And I don't know if it's just an interpretation of mine, but I like to make the assumption that
Mm,
it's pretty common across us as individuals in the world
mm,
today, that we've had this
yeah.
false sensation that a balance is a scale and we need
Mm,
to have everything perfectly balanced.
that's it.
And dropping that a couple of years ago has been so liberating. It has been so liberating to realize now that actually I'd rather
Mm,
move into seasons of life.
wow.
There'll be
Wow.
seasons in my life where one segment or one area needs more of my attention. There'll be a
Wow.
season in life where something else needs more attention.
Wow.
And I find that is like the foundations of the key message I want to be sharing in the world around this topic of balance.
Mm.
Hmm.
True. Raksha, that's deep. I absolutely love it. I love the way you've already started because I can see we are aligned and we think similar. And it's amazing to hear someone else actually having had the same experience as you and unpacking it in a whole different way that actually also just lands with you. So I'm writing notes as you speak. I love what you say about approaching life and balance in seasons. Hmm. I mean, that word
Hmm.
season is deep because we're not talking winter, autumn, and summer here. We're talking about individual life seasons. And I don't know if people really sometimes understand and know that they have tapped into a season or a new season in their life. Because here's what I say, Raksha. I always say, um, in life, you are either in a season, stepping out of a season, or entering a season at any given time. Now, you spoke about seasons, and I just want you to unpack a little bit more on that. What do seasons look like? How can one understand and know? Because I guess that also speaks to being present, maybe. You tell us.
I love that. I love that. You're tapping into the next aspect of it. To understand where you're at in life and what season you are in requires present moment awareness. It means I need to stop, slow down enough. I call it a witness mentality. Yeah. The
Mm,
ability to come out of living in my life and be a witness to my life and
wow.
see realistically what's actually happening right now. So, you know, to give you an example, and we do this because we read books, we watch movies on people's lives, we read autobiographies, we watch success stories of international successful entrepreneurs, business people, mothers, whatever that may be, and we get this sense of, oh wow, how are they getting it all so right? How are they doing it all? But someone who's just had a baby is in a very different season to someone who's just launched a business or started a new
Mhm.
job. You see what I'm saying? The
Mhm.
where your energy needs to flow differs, but having the
Yeah.
acceptance of it, not that,
Mhm.
okay, I'm a new mother for the first time, I'm coming to grips with how to be a mother, how to take full
Mhm.
responsibility for the raising formation of an entire being while still
So,
managing my finances, having a good job, being a good partner. Like, how can that be doable and sustainable?
mm-mm. No ways.
That's what seasons are for me. Being fully present in awareness, almost like a witness mentality or awareness of where I
Mhm.
am at in life and where all my energy and resources needs to go for a period of time.
Sure. Absolutely love that, Raksha. Being a witness to your life, you said. Taking a step back and almost looking at it from a different lens or and observing your own life. It's like watching your own movie. I mean, I know you're a holistic, you're into holistic well-being, and you are also a coach. You speak to a lot of different people. Today, I know you were speaking to people. That's what you do on a daily. Tell me why, tell me how far, because here's the thing, Raksha. A lot of people are scared to witness their own life. And you talk about self awareness. Self awareness is putting a mirror here and looking at yourself and really being real and honest with yourself. And I find that a whole lot of people are scared of that kind of. And because you are into holistic well being and coaching, personal development is a key aspect in those spaces. Can you tell us and just unpack how personal development ties into the self awareness aspect that then helps people to almost tie into seasons and balance?
Absolutely. So this concept of, personal development.
Mm,
I finished school, and when I was 17, I was already handed a book. You may know it, Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life.
mm,
And it was a powerful book at the time around understanding how when things go wrong or things seem to be not right, whether it's a physical ailment, whether it's an emotional something happening in your life, that you have everything within you to heal what's happening. At the
wow,
age of 17, I read that book. And it became
wow.
such a foundationary way in which I do life. And
Mm,
that has been, and I'm not saying I haven't gotten it wrong. I still get it colossally wrong. I'm a human being. But
Yeah.
to have the ability to look and say, wow, I got that so wrong. How interesting.
Mm,
Let's see how we could do that
mm,
differently the next time. But this
mm,
ability to look in, acknowledge, and like you say, many of us don't have the courage to
mm,
truly look in that mirror. So a lot of the work that I do is with entrepreneurs and business owners, but on a personal level as well. It's having the courage,
mm,
and I call it a reality check. Come on, let's get
mm,
real. Let's have a reality check.
mm,
Where are we at right now?
mm,
See, I was delivering a
mm,
masterclass for entrepreneurs, and they were saying to me, why is my marketing not working? Why is my sales not working?
mm,
Come now, get real. Let's have a reality
mm.
check. How many people know that you exist? How many people like
Yeah,
you? How many people actually want
yeah,
to buy from you? Is it realistic
true.
for you to expect that you'll have 1,000 sales in month one? Let's get
Mm,
real. And I think
sure.
similarly in our personal lives, we need to have the courage to get
Mm,
real,
mm,
truly look in that mirror and see where there are areas for growth. And that takes a huge amount of emotional maturity,
mm,
vulnerability, and
mm.
people need to find safe spaces in which to do that. There
That's
aren't many
right.
safe spaces. So I also do want to speak in an idealistic rainbows and
Mm,
butterflies world, understanding that
mm,
many people have challenging situations, maybe family, maybe loved ones, maybe friends are not as understanding to create a safe space in
mm,
which you can self explore, interrogate, investigate, examine, reveal, heal,
mm,
bloom. So
mm,
that's really what
mm.
it's about.
Sure. Thank you, Raksha. I mean, there's so much to touch on and speak about. And I believe there's a lot of people listening here and that have joined the live that are also into business and entrepreneurship. And you also unpacking those things because you almost feel like there's magic that must happen, but no, reality check. And that's part of self-awareness and part of personal development. And I like what you said also about creating a safe space because that on its own is already almost fostering that balance. Because when you have a safe space, you are able to be vulnerable enough to say, guys, I've just had a baby and I'm in this season. I've just launched a business and this is what's happening to me. Or I'm going through a divorce. Or, I've just resigned from work, for example, and I'm taking a leap of faith to start a business. Um, because life is happening every day to all of us in different ways. Now, that safe space, how do you think me and you can create a safe space for everybody around us?
I think that it's not an easy thing to do. And like I
Mm,
said, it requires a huge degree of emotional maturity. It
mm,
requires all the aspects of trust. Trust, you don't just
mm,
pay someone for and you get trust. Trust is
yeah.
built and earned. And it also helps to have almost systematic processes
Mm,
that allow for people to open up.
yeah.
So, listening actively to hear where
Mm,
maybe the challenge moments are, and we need to go
mm,
deeper there, or
mm,
knowing what the right questions are, because you're not
mm,
seeing how you said that. Do you know the tone with which you said that shows me that
mm,
there's pain there? Should we talk a
mm.
little bit more there?
True.
So there's all these skills around listening, probing, and
Mm,
creating space that enable these
mm,
vulnerabilities to be
mm,
exposed.
mm. Amazing. Thank you, Raksha. I'm learning as well. I'm learning as well. You see, there's this calmness that you exude, and I think it comes from all the personal development work, inner work, mindfulness, and a whole lot that you've done on yourself. So it does it almost, yeah, it, you send it out almost when you speak to people. So thank you for that. Now, speaking of that, and talking about how you just articulate everything, we want to know how you approach, what your approach to navigating complexities of achieving a harmonious balance between your professional achievements and your personal life. I mean, personal fulfillment. I'm sure, I mean, there's a lot you do, Raksha. I won't even go into there's just a lot you are doing and juggling, and so many people you meet on a day to day with, that you work with. And How do you come at the end of the day, like now, you had a full day, we're here sitting on a podcast. How do you get to that place? What is your approach? How do you navigate those complexities and almost be able to achieve that harmonious balance for your own life?
Yeah. I think that when it comes to this myth of balance, specifically when we're talking around our personal life and our professional lives and how to manage that well to ensure growth and that we achieve all of our objectives, this concept, this term, this buzz term has been doing the rounds for such a long time. This whole, how's your work life balance going? Again, another
That is
term
it.
that gives me the absolute heebie jeebies.
Me
Yeah.
too.
And you hear people, um, you hear people now speaking more and more around this term of work-life integration. And
Yes.
that is really about, acknowledging this interplay between our professional responsibilities and our personal lives. For me, I can't separate them. I am who I am. I bring who I am to
Yeah.
everything that I do, whether it's in my business world, my spiritual world, my family world, my financial world, my various communities. So it's almost inseparable for me. But when we
Wow.
start talking about things like work life integration, there are things like
Mm.
flexibility in how we are doing,
Mm.
focusing on outputs, outcomes, and results versus did you clock in at 8 a.m. and clock out at 5 p.m.? Is what I'm doing in all these areas aligned to my personal values?
That's
Are
it.
there fluid boundaries as things shift and change in life? And for me, what's key is well being a priority throughout all of this.
Wow.
Well being.
Wow.
Because I'll give you an example. During COVID, I was asked to continue coaching my entrepreneurs, coaching entrepreneurs on marketing strategy. So we all in, I don't know what stage lockdown, we all working from home. I'm connecting with my entrepreneurs in one-on-one sessions and saying, okay, so what should we be doing in terms of a marketing strategy for next year? Where do you think your target market's sitting? How's your differentiation looking? What's our priorities in terms of who we should be speaking to? But this poor person on the other end of the line is having an anxiety attack because he doesn't know if his business is going to exist in 6 months. So,
Sure.
what's the point of doing this? And I
Sure.
had to shift my whole approach, stop the whole thing, and say to the client, you briefed me on marketing strategy, but coaching here is going to be holistic wellness, well-being, and mindfulness. And he needs to
Mhm.
learn some breathing techniques, some relaxation exercises. He needs to relax more so he can flow with faith. And so, if we are completely rigid and inflexible and stuck in our ideas of how things are supposed to happen, creates this tension around it even
Mhm.
more. That doesn't help anyone at the end of the day.
That is so true. Sure, Raksha. I love it. And I think the key thing that is just so profound that you mentioned, work-life integration. And I think it speaks to who you are. You speak about authenticity and deep understanding, which I absolutely love. Because I also strongly and firmly believe in being authentic the whole time. Now, if you are not authentic, there's no way you can be able to achieve work life integration. How? Because people are so often people are used to having a different face at work. They're known for something else at church, for example. Here in at home they're this monster maybe, but they're doing so well at work. So you you lose people and you're like, is this the same person that I know? Because when people speak about them in the workspace, it's a whole different human being. But the wife and children are saying something else. And already there, it tells you that there is something missing, and there's a misalignment of an individual with one individual. And that tells you that something is lacking. And I think that true sense of authenticity, is it authenticity? What is it? Is it that helps people to become or to enter into that space of work life integration?
I think what's key is knowing your values. Knowing
Mhm.
your values. Tinashe, I bring values into every aspect of my work, whether you are building a business, whether you're building a brand, whether you're building a marketing strategy, whether you're building a personal brand, whether you need to reach another level or milestone in your life. If you don't know what matters to you, you will not clearly see how or with who or in what way you need to work. And you will almost intuitively get a sense of discomfort when something isn't aligned to your values. And that's when the inauthenticity comes. And you know, it's Nashe, irrespective of where it's happening, again, whether it's in church, whether it's at work, whether it's at home, people are connecting with other people. Even
Mm,
as a business, we are connecting with other people. And there's an
mm,
intuitive sense that you get when someone's just inauthentic. Oh, for some reason I don't
okay.
trust what they're saying, or I don't believe it, or something happens
Yeah.
there. And you know, often it's through no fault of ours. We are hugely stretched individuals in today's society. We have so many demands, we have so many things to take
Mm,
care of, and we are simply not coping with the demands of
mm,
all of it. You know, I work in the space of marketing, and I often criticize the marketing industry so much for the volumes of
yeah.
content that
Oof,
we expose our audiences to and that you have to process on a daily basis. This is what I was saying in my
mm,
class today, that you know, when you fall asleep and you have a sleep and when you wake up in the morning and you feel like I didn't sleep at all, it's because this
yes.
brain and this mind is still processing all that information that you took in through your eyes, through your ears, through your nose, through your mouth, through like there's so we are overstimulated with so much.
That's
So
right.
yeah, it's I think a lot of it is that mindfulness, slowing down and then aligning everything in your life to your values.
Wow. I love it. Thank you, Raksha. And you're right, it starts there because if you don't have values, how on earth are you authentic? How do you even know yourself and what you stand for? And sometimes it's not that the person wants to be, maybe they just don't know their values. They don't know what they're living for. They're just living and doing as per what they were taught and how they grew up and what, what society said it should. So absolutely love that. And I hope to everybody who's listening, to the audience of the Faith in Action podcast, you are learning so much wisdom here. You need to know your values for you to be able to get into a space of work-life integration and become an authentic human being. And again, that's what leads to balance, which is what we are unpacking tonight. Um, Raksha, still on balance. I wanted to ask you this question. Now, we've spoken a lot about balance and how to find balance and the work we need to do. What does an unbalanced or ungrounded life look like? And what challenges could one face in such a situation?
Yeah, you know, I almost don't want to speak to the word unbalanced because I think what you're gathering from my concept of balanced
Yeah,
is that your unique sense of unbalanced is your unique balance.
that's right.
So let's speak about ungrounded. You know,
Mm,
it's for me when you're ungrounded, there's this absolute sense of disconnection, this instability, this almost lack of rootedness in yourself
mm,
and your
mm,
surroundings.
mm,
Um, and like I was saying, you know, just this volume of overwhelming information that we have to process all the time
mm,
sometimes can just set us off our path. And this ungroundedness, maybe we don't acknowledge it or aren't able to identify it as being
mm,
ungrounded. But ungrounded often manifests as anxiety or restlessness. It
mm,
can manifest as being disconnected or insecurity. Sometimes we have difficulty making simple decisions. We could even have physical symptoms in us like dizziness or lightheadedness. We could be impulsive, jumping from one thing to the next all the time. And what I see more and more often, which leads to so many problems in relationships, whether it's personal or business relationships, is this increased emotional sensitivity. But why did he say that? Why did he say it that way? What did he mean?
mm,
What was he implying? If you are grounded and centered in yourself and believe in your value that you bring into this world, why you exist, what you are here to do, what you've been called to do, those things really shouldn't affect you.
mm,
Grounding is naturally connecting to Mother Earth. this, the analogy of grounding is
Mm,
physically walking barefoot on the ground, on Mother Earth, and you feel her supporting you in everything that you do.
mm.
That's the
Wow.
concept of grounding.
Wow.
And if we take that into self awareness, it's this
Wow.
knowing myself well enough to be firmly established in who I am and confidently bring that to the world.
Shoo. I'm getting a lesson here and goosebumps and everything. I mean, like you're speaking to me, I almost see myself walking on sand and barefoot and just, being mindful of every single step and being in touch and forgetting all else, but just being present in the moment and harnessing it. And wow, I mean, it's a beautiful, I don't know, it's a beautiful place. I was just there, Raksha. So thank you for taking us there. And I'm sure, to some of the listeners and those that are watching, that you really are gaining something here. It's deep, and I love it. Being grounded, you said rootedness, and then you spoke about a lot of things that are happening right now that reflect us not being grounded, and all the anxiety and restlessness, you know goodness, all these things that people are talking about is, are the fruits, but there is something that's really on the inside that needs to be fixed. We hear people saying, no, I'm on this medication, or this is happening to me, but there is something that you haven't dealt with, that speaks to that groundedness and being rooted in that rootedness. Um, sure. Wow. Thank you, Raksha. And I mean, the last point you spoke about is emotional sensitivity. That's a big one. Uh, I suppose I'm guilty of that one as well, because I sometimes feel like I can get too emotional over everything. And then instead of processing, I then act on it. How, how does the how does speaking of balance again, and this holistic well-being, how is that process of restraint, how do you manage that process of restraint, even if there's so much emotional trauma happening in you and around you, and it's almost like there's chaos all around, but how do you remain grounded, Raksha? Where do you find it? Because I mean, my house is burning right now. There's nowhere to go, Raksha. It's trouble all around me. I'm crying for help. I don't know what to do. And I want to scream. I want to run. I want to shout and everything. How do I get that sense of groundedness?
Tinashe, there's a lot that's been written around the power of the pause. The
Mm,
power of the pause. You might be highly emotional. I'm upset. I feel like everything is going wrong. Or how could this person do this to me? Or how could I lose that client? Or how could they pay the invoice late? Or whatever it is that's got you in a tiz. And there's number one, huge in my life, is breath work, breathing,
mm,
taking your awareness to just inhaling and exhaling and
mm,
slowing that down and calming yourself down. That's a
mm,
very intentional tool and technique that I use when I'm in situations like that. The second, I was talking to you about the power of the pause.
mm.
In my younger days, in an angry flurry, type, 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 the email response, how dare you, blah, 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 spelling errors, space errors, oh, get it
I'm
out,
guilty.
and then think 12 hours later, did I really do that? Did
Yeah,
I really do that? Actually,
yeah,
I could have said it nicer. So
sure.
often, the power of the pause, go and write the email. Get the anger out. Take out the to field. Take out the email address who it's supposed to be going to. There's
Mm,
power in just expressing. Write it, journal it, type it, get it out of your system. And then the true power for me, especially because you're talking about emotional overwhelm. I was just talking to a friend on Sunday and reminding her of this. Give it 48 hours. When
mm,
emotions are so intense, all emotions turn in 48 hours. Intense emotions, anything that you're truly feeling in a big way in your system, it takes 48 hours for that emotion to turn or
sure.
transform. So the
Wow.
power of the pause, breathing, and
Wow.
allowing yourself at least 48 hours in situations where you don't have the luxury of that. I've got to reply now, I've got to whatever. Just practice the pause for as long as you can. 10 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, step away from the situation, come back into it, get a different perspective, try to look at it from a different angle. So, this is what I'm talking about witness mentality and living with awareness. I can see
Wow.
myself. I'm this red, angry fire in this situation. I want to burn everyone around me, watching myself going, how can I cool it down? How can I cool it down? And
Mm,
nature, I have to tell you, nature for me is part of my religion. Listening
wow.
to the leaves rustle in the wind,
Wow.
feeling your feet on grass or on soil, on sand, smelling the beautiful scent of a flower, listening
Mm,
to the birds chirping. Wherever you are in the world, there is nature. Even if you are
yeah.
sitting in a apartment in the middle of a city, there is
Mm,
something that you can hear, feel, and connect to in nature. So even in those situations, tap into nature and let her calm you down if you're unable to yourself. Hmm. And if you need
wow.
help, this is a very important one, Tinashe. If this is repeating too often and you realize that you do need help, I have an anger problem or I have an overwhelm problem. I feel like I actually can't cope. There's too many balls in the air. I'm so fearful of dropping one. Then seek the help. Go
Mm,
out there, ask for help, be vulnerable,
that's right.
speak to a friend, a family, a spiritual leader,
Mm,
an elder in your family, a professional
that's right.
coach, or a psychologist, a psychiatrist, whatever it is that you may need. We are blessed with too many resources in the world
That's
today
right.
to have the excuse for behaving poorly.
Wow. Love it. Ha! Love it. Love it, Raksha. Oh, we have too many resources around us to have the excuse for behaving poorly. I mean, thank you. Thank you. Applies to me as well. I cannot afford to behave poorly because so many resources around me, people like you that I can just reach out to and say, hey, I need help. So I love that. And thank you for that, Raksha. I mean, we time again, it's always time. I just want to encourage those that are watching, those that are listening in. If you've got any questions, please put them in the chat box. Raksha is here to answer. I'm sure you will be able to gain. You can hear the wisdom yourself. So please don't go back with an unanswered question or something that's bothering you on the inside that you really want her to clarify and speak on. She's here for us this evening, and please utilize this opportunity because to get a hold of her one-on-one, you must pay. So please do the right thing tonight. um Raksha, I wouldn't have done justice to have you on the Faith in Action podcast and not have you talk a little bit about faith and harnessing or almost, speaking balance and your faith. And here's the question for you. Faith is often described as belief in the unseen. Can you share a story where you found yourself in a situation where you had no clear direction or knowledge of how to navigate through it, and how your faith played a role in guiding you?
I love that question, Tinashe. And I think it is faith that connected you and I, just as a starting point to answering this question, and
Yeah,
that connected us on this topic. When you said to
yeah,
me, I have a podcast and it's called Faith in Action, and I said, you are kidding. Those are like the guiding principles with which I live my life, walking in faith. My
yeah.
existence is faith in action. So, first of all, faith in
It,
action is just this happening right now,
that's
first of
right.
all.
That's
Um,
right.
Second of all, I think like as an individual, as an entrepreneur, I have endless stories, endless examples of just faith showing up. And I'll give you one example, one that I think back to, a most recent one and a painful one. In 2021, when we were in lockdown and we were in COVID, I had decided, and at the time, moving away was such a difficult thing. It was family, it was going into a new city, and it was also moving to a place that I had to try and integrate into during a time like lockdown. I'm a social person, so I
Mm,
like to interact with people. I feed off people's energies. And this was a time where we were not allowed to interact. And I had
yeah.
moved during winter. It was raining, it was cold, there was no socializing. It was so hard. And what had made it even harder was the entrepreneurial side of things. My
Mm,
business had completely dried up. There was hardly any income happening. And I got very stressed about this. I remember a specific month end, the first or the second, running a month end in Cape Town, going, what did I do? I decided to move to live in nature and be closer to the mountains and the ocean. And am I going to pay my bills? Like, what did I do? But I had such
mm,
strong faith. And as a business owner, this is not a fear that is unfounded. It's in black and white. I can see the numbers, what's coming in and
yes,
what's going out. The numbers said
that's
you're
it.
not going to make it. And I
Yeah.
went, the bank balance is saying it, the invoices are saying I'm actually not going to make it. And I went, something, 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 please, something will happen. And a client called me and she said to me, please raise the invoice. I need to make a payment. And I said, what? Like, how does a client phone you and say, I want to pay you, please just invoice me? And I had forgotten that a year prior to that, we had developed content and developed online courses. And
Wow.
she said to me, Raksha, please help me and build this out, develop material for me. But I promise you, I can't pay you right now. But as people buy this course, I'll pay you for
Wow.
each course that people buy to do your course. And in 1 month, like 20, 18 or 20 people bought this course. And I suddenly had this huge invoice that I could raise to her. And I was so sorted. Tinashe,
Wow.
it wasn't meant to happen. In black and white, it wasn't meant to happen. There was absolutely 100% nothing coming in and too much going out. I could see it. And this phone call was, that feeling that I am so taken care of. There is a higher power who loves me, sees me, and is taking care of me beyond my comprehension in this mere human existence. I have so many
Mm,
examples of that. So that was
mm,
just one.
I mean, Raksha, that's deep. Oof, that's really deep. That is indeed faith in action. And I guess if there is any entrepreneurs really that are listening tonight, there you go, there you have it. And I'm sure you've walked this journey and you experience this, almost all the time where because you don't know what you don't know. And you can see the numbers as you say, but you've got no control at this point, only faith that you can hold
Mm.
on to. My goodness. The
And
the yeah.
there were other examples when I think about just being an entrepreneur, being in business. I remember first in the early days starting an agency and looking for just building business out a traditional way. I remember signing a lease on office space, big things. They used to pay extra for parking, pay extra for an access tag, like big proper business decisions. Signing a lease on an office space without having the secure, consistent income to service that lease because I wanted it for 12 months and they said, no, you got to do 24, 36 months. And I just went, oh, the price is right, the location is right, everything, let's just sign. And it unfolded exactly as it was meant to. There's examples of losing clients, where you feel, how could I ever be losing this client? But in absolute faith,
Wow.
those clients no longer were a fit for me. They were no longer
Wow.
good for me. Our values were no longer aligned. So sometimes, and I'm sharing this example because it doesn't always have to be good news stories.
Mm,
Faith in action for me is also those things that consciously make you uncomfortable so that you can see the lesson in it.
shoo. Oh, they were not, they were clients, but in that season they were no longer a good fit for me. How many of us are able to fathom that? That this is a paying client, but in this season, I mean, this is not the client that's fit for me. Again, my values, again, how I'm grounded, again, that which drives me, again, the season I'm in. And I mean, beautiful, 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 Raksha. I mean, everything is just tying into each other, and I'm enjoying this absolutely beautiful conversation. So I'm gonna go into my last question because of time, Raksha. And the question I wanna um ask you here is again on faith and faith in action. In enforcing certain practices that keep one faithful, could you share two practices that you personally follow to maintain a positive mindset and that keep your, that help you keep your head up, during challenging times? We just want to get at least some practical examples from you on how to navigate things that you do that have helped you in the most difficult and challenging times.
So, specific examples where faith was tested and how I've been able to overcome. I'm just,
Yes.
hmm.
So just maybe like, you know, again on faith in action and enforcing certain practices that keep one faithful. So could you share two practices that you personally follow to maintain a positive mindset and keep your head high during challenging times?
Oh, I'm very intentional with this. So I'm non-negotiable. I have a daily morning practice of breath work. I do yoga. I do meditation. And I set that time aside for myself every morning, this bank of time that centers me for each morning and it sets the right mood for the day. I'm also very intentional with journaling. I find journaling
Mm,
to be a superpower, Tinashe. You know, when
mm,
there's stuck emotions, when there's stuck situations, when there's things that are just sitting inside me that I can't fathom or that frustrate me, I find that journaling them,
mm,
and I've been told, because I type much faster than I write, I've been told that there's power in writing, not in typing. The
mm,
physical act of getting it out of your body
mm,
is in writing, putting pen to paper.
mm.
So journaling is a very big one for me. And prayer,
That's
prayer,
it.
prayer.
Yeah.
I was raised with prayer. I was raised in a house that, yeah, was very intentional with prayer, the power of
Mm,
prayer. And I think there's a
mm.
link, eh? There's a link
Yeah.
between prayer and
Yeah.
faith.
That's
And
it.
it's that unseen, unknown, and that I hand it over to you. I surrender it over to you with
Mm,
full knowledge that whether it unfolds the way I'm asking for, whether it doesn't, I trust that you have my highest good, that it's for my
mm,
highest good.
abs-
Um, Another big one for me is gratitude.
mm,
So I do on my social media, all my social media platforms, I'm my first name and my surname. So it's Raksha Mahabeer across everything. And years ago, I started the journey of hashtag gratitude 365.
Wow.
And I used to go 1/365, 2/365, three, and for every single day there'd be a gratitude post. And it kept
Wow.
me so on point around it. And then I went in my season of something else in life. And actually now, just maybe 2 weeks ago, Tinashe, 3 weeks ago, I started a new social media campaign for myself. And now I'm calling them glimmers. You know, the concept of glimmers, that a
Yes.
glimmer is those magical moments in the day that just light you up. A moment where
Mm,
you either feel joyous or warm or safe or happy. And for me, I'm doing posts every day of hashtag daily glimmers. So whether
mm,
it's the smell of my mum's beautiful cooking, whether it's the sunlight falling perfectly on the petals in the garden,
mm,
whether it's delivering a masterclass, whether it's sitting in a podcast with Tinashe, what's
mm,
that glimmer for that day? And I share them online. So
wow.
gratitude for me is big.
Mm,
Yeah, like I'm saying, I don't always have to do it in a public space like social media, but definitely journaling them every single day. Gratitude
true.
just grows. It's a state of expansion.
Wow.
I think for people who complain, they are not taking responsibility of their lives.
That's right.
If we don't take responsibility, there's consistently the blame is outside. Oh, but why is the petrol so
Mm,
expensive? Oh, but why
mm,
is load shedding happening? Oh,
mm,
but why is the
mm,
whatever?
mm,
Constantly complaining. How can I take responsibility for this and own the situation? And for me,
mm,
the opposite of that is gratitude. It's I
mm.
am grateful that I've had electricity for 20 of the 24 hours in the day.
That's
I'm
right.
grateful that I
True.
have someone who will listen to me. I'm grateful
Wow.
that I have people in the world who care deeply for me, that I have
Wow.
air to breathe, that I have eyes that work, you know?
Wow. Wow.
So, yeah, those are some of my very intentional daily practices that help me to stay
Wow.
aligned to how I want to be living my life.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing that? There's so many things to be grateful for, but we actually don't get to see them if we're not taking a step back, just like you're saying. I mean, you're busy complaining about this is not happening, but you've eaten that day. You are fully clothed. You even have a mouth to speak what you're speaking. Man, there's nothing wrong with you. Like, there's hope. There's still hope, man. There's still faith. There's faith. There's faith. There's hope somewhere. So I think there's so much to be grateful for. And I mean, just thinking through that, I think it also just it works out back to balance, Raksha. I mean, when you are grateful, something just happens. You take a step back. Again, you begin to witness your own life, just like you say, because it takes you to reflect deeply that I've eaten today. Actually, I'm breathing right now. I'm talking to Raksha. We've got Wi-Fi to be able to do this broadcast in this episode, and we were able to be here. Like, there's so much to be grateful for. Like, there's so
Yeah.
much to be grateful for, man.
Yeah.
And I think that on its own also fosters balance because it just helps you. So, wow,
Yes.
Raksha, unfortunately,
Can I
we've
add
run
one
out.
thing there,
Please, please,
Tinashe?
please.
On that topic of gratitude, and another theme that I often use in my hashtags is live in amazement. You know, we have lost sight of the millions of miracles that unfold around us every
Mm,
single day. It's a
mm,
miracle that water comes out the tap. It's a miracle
mm,
that a seed has the intelligence to know how this blooms into this plant or this tree, that has the intelligence to produce this fruit that nourishes this body, that knows how to process it. There are miracles, millions of miracles happening in our lives
mm,
every day. And I feel like we are moving at such a fast pace in this
mm,
life at the moment, with
mm,
the demands, with
mm,
technology, with everything.
mm,
There is such a fast pace that we are simply not slowing down enough to acknowledge those miracles.
mm,
And it's and you know, I was clearing cupboards this weekend, and I found a notebook of a personal development course I had done 11 years ago.
mm,
And one of the tasks that we had to do in that course, write 100 miracles. Write down 100 miracles now that you experience now. And I was so stretched, and I opened that book and I looked at it 11 years later. And it was so beautiful to see.
wow,
Like, they are just everywhere. And you know what it is? It's about switching on that awareness.
wow.
Switch on the awareness, because we take too much of life for granted. And we
Ooh,
feel entitlement when things don't work, instead of taking
ooh,
responsibility to help fix them. So that whole thing, and for me, that's that sense of balance. Become
yeah.
aware as a
Mm,
being. Am I complaining and not taking responsibility enough? Or am I expressing gratitude and tapping into the millions of miracles that exist around me to live in a state of constant amazement, live in awe, live in amazement at creation? Mm.
beautiful. Wow. Raksha, I could have you here all day. I mean, I'm just soaking in and taking in, and this is truly, truly helping me and transforming me from the inside out. I'm grateful for you. This is like a free life, like a free coaching session for me. And I absolutely love it. And all the key things that you've shared that I was also rewriting down here for my own sake. And I mean, with that said, Raksha, I really just want to say again, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your words of wisdom, for all that you've shared tonight with the listeners, with everybody that's watching. I don't know if there's any questions. I haven't seen any as yet. But I think, yeah, there's just a lot to take in from what you've shared, Raksha. There is just so much to take in and soak in. And from the bottom of my heart and from the Faith in Action podcast, we really just want to say thank you. Thank you, Raksha, for this. It's beautiful to listen to you.
Tinashe, can I just say thank you for creating space for conversations like this that need to be happening in the world. There's so much of pain, struggle, and strife. There are so many overstressed people. The
Mm,
statistics around depression, mental instability, mental illness are staggering. And it's people like you who see the importance of being a catalyst for these conversations that light me up. So thank you for creating the space. Thank you to your team behind the scenes who enable it all to happen. I've loved chatting with you and look forward to seeing what you and I can co-create in the world.
I mean, I said I'm coming to TEDx. Faith in Action podcast listeners and watchers, thank you guys for tuning in tonight. We've had a beautiful conversation with Raksha Mahabeer. And we were unpacking balance, the myth of balance in life. And I think she went overboard and shared a lot of wisdom with us, tools that we can actually use and practice to be able to find this balance. And again, taking it as seasons and not forgetting gratitude, journaling, prayer, understanding that there's so many miracles that are happening all around us all the time. Raksha is found on all social platforms. Is that right, Raksha? As Raksha Mahabeer, as it is written right there. Her full name and surname, please. You must get a hold of her if you want more of this. She does a lot of these master classes, coaching classes. She works with entrepreneurs and business owners. So please, please, please get in touch with her if you need more of this, especially for your business and for yourself as an individual too. And with that said, thank you everybody for tuning into another episode of the Faith in Action podcast with me, your host, Tinashe Mujira. Until we meet next time, it's goodbye for now. Thank you, Raksha. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Tinashe Mujira. I'm an author, I'm a marketplace professional, and I'm a woman of God. I am a representation of tested faith. I represent my healed wounds that left ugly scars. This is the Faith in Action podcast that has been created to help you find the journey to your true self through conversations and lessons shared.